The diplomatic quarters aboard the Eternal Harmony were designed for comfort, but Rava had never felt comfortable around humans. The ambassador from Earth sat cross-legged on the floor of her assigned chamber, seemingly oblivious to the fact that she was surrounded by furnishings meant to elevate guests above the ground away from potential threats. This woman, this human, chose to sit where predators lurked. Rava's fur bristled involuntarily as he watched her through the observation panel. Ambassador Sarah Chen was reviewing data streams on a holographic display, her fingers moving with practiced ease through diplomatic reports. She looked deceptively harmless, no claws, no fangs, no natural armor, just soft skin, blunt teeth, and those unsettling forward-facing eyes that marked her species as predators. "The cub is approaching," his assistant chirped nervously behind him. Rava's heart seized. His son, Kor, had escaped his quarters again. The youngling was in his predator phase, that dangerous period when Xanthari cubs tested their hunting instincts. At 3 cycles old, Kor was all teeth, claws, and reckless aggression. The species' evolutionary heritage demanded it. Only the bold survived to adulthood on their homeworld. "Seal the," Rava began, but it was too late. The door panel hissed open, and Kor bounded through with the fluid grace of a born hunter. His silver fur rippled with excitement. Razor-sharp claws extended. Fangs bared. The cub had somehow overridden 3 security protocols. Pride and terror warred in Rava's chest as he watched his son launch himself toward the human. Ambassador Chen turned just as Kor struck. The cub's claws raked across her cheek, drawing 3 parallel lines of crimson. Any civilized species would have screamed, fled, or at minimum frozen in terror. The Xanthari had nearly gone to war with the Kolari collective over a similar incident. Blood meant danger. Blood meant death. The human laughed. Not a nervous titter or a shocked gasp, but a genuine, delighted laugh that echoed through the chamber. She caught Kor mid-pounce with reflexes that shouldn't have been possible for a species without enhancement, holding him at arm's length as he squirmed and swiped uselessly at the air. "Oh, you're a feisty one," she said, her voice warm with amusement. Blood trickled down her face, but she seemed utterly unconcerned. "Let me guess you must be Rava's boy." Rava slammed the emergency access panel and burst into the room, his translator barely keeping up with his panicked chattering. "Ambassador, I am profoundly sorry. The cub, he's in his predator phase. We must get you to medical immediately." Sarah shifted Kor to one hip, the cub now more confused than aggressive, and wiped the blood from her face with her other hand. She examined it with mild interest before looking back at Rava with those unnerving predator eyes. "This?" She gestured at the scratches. "This is nothing. Your father tries harder." The statement hung in the air like a physical thing. Rava's translator cycled through the phrase 3 times, certain it had made an error. The human had just compared his son's attack, a genuine assault that had drawn blood, to something her father did with greater intensity. As what? Recreation? Training? Affection? I don't understand," Rava managed. Sarah set Kor down gently. The cub, thoroughly bewildered by the turn of events, sat on his haunches and stared up at the human with wide eyes. She knelt to his level, and Rava's instincts screamed at him to intervene. Predators at eye level meant challenge, meant threat. "Where I'm from," Sarah said, speaking to Kor now, "my father taught me how to fight when I was about your age. He'd put on these padded gloves, big, soft things, and we'd spar in the backyard. He always went easy on me, of course, but he wanted me to learn, to be strong, to not be afraid of getting hurt." She reached out slowly, palm up, non-threatening. Kor sniffed her hand cautiously. "One time, I was maybe 7 years old. I scraped my knee really bad falling off my bike, cried for like 5 minutes. You know what Dad did? He showed me his scars. Every single one. The one on his forehead from a car accident. The burn mark on his arm from cooking. The twisted ankle from his football days that still bothered him when it rained." Kor's claws retracted slightly. "He told me that scars are just proof that you survived something. that you were strong enough to heal. And that pain is temporary, but the lessons last forever. Sarah smiled, and there was something ancient in it, something that transcended species. Your scratches are lovely. Little hunter, you've got good form. But you're going to have to practice a lot more if you want to leave a mark on this human. She stood, ruffling the fur between Kor's ears in a gesture that somehow translated perfectly across species barriers. The cub leaned into the touch, a deep purr rumbling from his chest, something Zenthari cubs only did with trusted family members. Rava's world tilted slightly off its axis. "Ambassador," he said carefully, "you're bleeding from your face, and you're petting my son like he's a domesticated companion animal. Am I?" Sarah touched her cheek again, where the blood had already begun to clot. Human healing, Rava remembered from the briefings, was remarkably efficient. "Sorry. Habit. I grew up with 3 brothers and 2 dogs. This barely registers on the chaos scale." She walked to her quarters medical station and pressed a regeneration pad to her face. Within seconds, the scratches began to fade, skin knitting together with the assistance of human biotechnology. But she didn't seem bothered by the injury itself, only mildly inconvenienced by the interruption to her work. "Your father," Rava said slowly, pieces clicking together in his mind. "He trained you to fight. As a cub. A youngling, sure. Most human parents do. In some form or another. Sports, martial arts, roughhousing, it's how we learn our limits." Sarah pulled the pad away, revealing smooth skin marked only by the faintest pink lines. "We're not the fastest species, Rava. Not the strongest. We don't have claws or venom or natural armor. What we have is endurance, adaptability, and the absolute refusal to stay down when something knocks us over." She turned to look at him fully, and Rava finally understood why the Galactic Council had been so disturbed when humanity joined the Federation. It wasn't their technology or their military might. It wasn't even their predator heritage, which they shared with dozens of other species. It was this fundamental inability to recognize when they should be afraid. "The scratches on your face," Rava tried again, "will be completely gone by tomorrow," Sarah interrupted gently. "And your son learned an important lesson today. He learned that not every creature will react to violence with fear. Some of us laugh, some of us see it as an invitation to play, and some of us—" She glanced down at Kor, who was now rolling on his back in a display of complete submission and trust. "Some of us see it as the beginning of friendship." Rava looked at his son, then at the human, then back at his son. Kor gazed up at Ambassador Chen, with something approaching worship in his young eyes. The same look he gave Rava when learning a new hunting technique. The same look he gave his mother when she brought home stories of successful negotiations. "Humans are terrifying," Rava said quietly. Sarah's laugh was bright and unrestrained. "Yeah," she agreed. "We really are. But we're also really good friends, Rava. The kind of friends who don't flinch when your kid gets a little rough. The kind who understand that sometimes love looks like teaching someone to take a hit and get back up." "Ah." She walked to the door, then paused. "Send Kor by any time he wants to practice. I may not be his father, but I had 3 brothers. I can handle an enthusiastic cub." As the door sealed behind her, Rava sank to the floor beside his son. Kor chirped questioningly. His head tilted in confusion at his father's stunned expression. "Your attack," Rava said, still processing, "bounced off her like nothing. She caught you mid-leap." She laughed. Kor purred and nuzzled against Rava's side. Outside, through the observation panel, Rava could see Ambassador Chen returning to her work, a slight smile on her face, completely unbothered by the fact that she'd just been attacked by a predator cub. She'd compared it to playing with her father. She'd called the scars proof of survival. For the first time, Rava truly understood what the Council meant when they'd issued their assessment of humanity. They are not dangerous because they are predators. They are dangerous because they have forgotten how to be prey. And watching his son, his fierce, proud, predatory son, curl up contentedly after being utterly outmatched by a creature with no claws, no fangs, and no fear, Rava couldn't help but think that perhaps the galaxy had severely underestimated what it meant when humans said they came in peace. Because peace, for humanity, wasn't the absence of violence, it was the choice not to use it. And that, Rava realized with a chill running through his fur, was far more frightening than any weapon they could have brought.